Guys, welcome back to my channel. This sounds so weird to say considering I have absolutely zero videos left on my channel because I privated them all. Those of you who have been watching me for the past 3 years, you know that I used to make K-pop related content and just music related content in general, but instead I decided to switch to talking about cinema, my biggest passion for the past year now, but nobody knew that because I never talked about it. I thought, what better way to start this whole new era of the channel than by doing a November wrap-up where we talk about every single thing that I watched in the month of November 2022. We will break it down by first talking about all of the movies I watched, then about all of the TV shows, and as the last thing we will talk about K-dramas separately because I know a lot of you only care about that. As always, timestamps are in the description if you want to jump around. And without any more rambling, let's start by talking about movies. So, first let's get off our backs all of the movies that I watched for future videos I'm planning to make. So I watched The Incredible Hulk and the very first Thor movie for a future ranking of all MCU movies video, so I won't be talking about them in this video. As well as I watched 4 or 5 Christmas movies, which are also for a video that I'm planning on releasing on December 24th or 25th, where I'll be ranking 25 Christmas movies from worst to best. Okay, now let's get into the movies that I can actually talk about. So first off, we have Marvel one-shot The Consultant. So for those of you who may not be as familiar with the whole MCU world, one-shots are little between 4 and 20 minutes long short films put on certain Blu-rays or DVDs. This one in particular is about 4 minutes long. I don't understand why it exists because it's literally just a conversation between our main agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and that other dude that I don't even remember who he is or if we are supposed to know him or not. But they are just talking, and the only thing we basically find out from this short film is that Hulk has been captured, but he's being caged off because he's currently too dangerous and unpredictable to be used as a weapon. And that's it. You could put that at the beginning of the next movie in the whole universe, being Thor, or just put it in the first Avengers movie. I don't know, but this was not needed. It was boring. I gave it a personal rating of 4 out of 10, and I'm glad I never have to watch it again. Then, right after that, there is Marvel one-shot A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer. Now, this is following that same main agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. going from that conversation that we talked about in the previous one-shot, The Consultant, to basically the next movie, being Thor. And on the way there, he stops at a little store at the gas station, and there are like 2 or 3, I don't even remember how many, robbers, and he basically has a fight with them. Now, not necessary at all, we didn't need it, but it's very funny. Like, you have a lot of one-liners that are genuinely hilarious, and I don't know, I just had a fun time watching it, but yeah, it definitely wasn't necessary by any means. I gave it a personal rating of 6 out of 10. Next up, we have a movie that I barely even remember watching, and I only watched it about a week and a half ago, and that's Bloodfather. Now, I'm personally not someone who watches this type of action movies. I'm more of a superhero action type of person, but this movie came randomly on TV one evening while my dad was like changing channels, searching for what to watch, and he stopped on this one, and I got intrigued and watched it the whole way through. It was just fine. The movie was fun to watch, it was entertaining, it had me on the edge of my seat at certain moments, and definitely the ending I didn't see coming, but it was nothing that I haven't seen in millions of other action movies before. And also some of the performances were a bit iffy, like the acting wasn't exactly the best and everything was very dark and gritty, which isn't really my aesthetic. I decided to give it 6 out of 10, which feels fair. I would say as a background movie, put it on, sure, but don't expect it to be anything more than that. And then the last movie that I watched is Jordan Peele's latest movie, Nope. If you guys follow me on any of my other social media, such as my Instagram, you would know that I didn't exactly fall in love with Get Out, which is Jordan Peele's feature film debut. I thought that movie was great, but a lot of things after just one watch flew over my head, and I was rather underwhelmed for how much hype I saw around it. But I definitely will rewatch it sometime soon, along with watching Us for the first time, because I haven't gotten to that one yet. For Nope, I put it off for a really long time. I wanted to see it in theaters when it came out, which was months ago, but I was just scared because I knew just from the posters that it was very sci-fi, and I'm not a sci-fi girly, even if it's aliens or whatever form. But then I saw the cast and I saw Steven Yeun, who I absolutely adore ever since I saw him in The Walking Dead. So I just had to watch it for Jordan Peele and Steven Yeun. So finally I put it on and ended up falling in love with it. Now, it's not a perfect movie because I do have a few issues with it. One of them being that Steven Yeun's character, although extremely intriguing, is underutilized to the point I don't even know why he is in the movie. And as well that I felt a little bit underwhelmed by the ending, and I guess the whole entity. I didn't find it scary. I didn't find it threatening for some reason. I don't even know why, because that thing is fucking huge. And I don't know, the stakes weren't as high as I maybe wanted them to be, but the cinematography is mind-blowing. The performances, especially of Keke Palmer, mwah, 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 chef's kiss. The story overall, although not much actually happens, it's absolutely engaging, and I did not feel bored for a single second. Jordan Peele is truly just on another level. As a director, as a writer, you can truly see that he knows how to put his vision perfectly on the screen. He knows how to perfectly cast actors for the roles that he created, and it just works out. I do think he deserves all of the hype that he's receiving, and I'm very excited to see in what other genres he may be branching in the future and what other things he can surprise us with. If you haven't seen this movie yet, definitely go see it. Definitely put it on streaming and watch it. I personally gave it 9 out of 10. I do think it's nearly a perfect movie for me personally. I can totally see why it may not work for some people, but definitely put it on, give it a chance, and I think very early on you will see whether the humor, the aesthetics, the story overall is for you, and hopefully you will fall in love with it the way I did. Next up, let's talk about all of the TV shows I watched. First of all, I actually finished Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities anthology horror series that recently came on to Netflix, but I can't talk about it because the next video after this one actually will be my ranking and review of all 8 episodes in that series. So for now we will skip it, but look forward to that video. Next up, I'm in the middle of my rewatch of The Big Bang Theory. Now, I started this month being at episode 7 of season 5, and I ended it by currently being at episode 8 of season 8. Now, I know this seems crazy because I basically watched 3 whole seasons, but keep in mind that these episodes are between 15 and 20 minutes, so you get through them extremely quickly. But yeah, I adore the first 3 or 4 seasons, but the further in the show I get, the more I'm disappointed by what they did to the characters. But we will talk about it in my December wrap-up more, because I think by that time I'll finish all of the remaining seasons, and I'll let you know more detailed thoughts then. Then I'm in my first ever watch of Schitt's Creek. I started from the very beginning, so episode 1 of season 1, and I'm currently on episode 9 of season 3. Again, episodes are only between 18 to 22 minutes long, so you get through them very quickly. But I'm not trying to, because so far I absolutely adore it. The character of David means so much to me because I can relate to him in so many different ways. And now we got introduced to Patrick, who I know later on becomes David's boyfriend, and he's such a sweetheart. And I love him even more than David. And can you tell I'm obsessed? So then I'm also not even in the middle, but pretty much at the very beginning of watching all seasons of Criminal Minds. Now I've started it at being at episode 12 of season 2, and currently I'm on episode 20 of season 2. So I'm watching this very slowly. I love the show. I love the characters. Yeah, it's very repetitive in its structure, and yeah, some of the things when it comes to like the relationships and subplots of the show make right about zero sense. But when I watch crime shows, detective shows like this, I don't expect much of a plot line. You know, it's kind of to turn my brain off and just enjoy a little bit more of an intense psychological thriller with certain, you could even say, horror elements. And I'm excited to slowly and gradually watch all of the 15 seasons before the new season comes out. Then I finished the whole first season of Heartbreak High, which is also one of the newer Netflix teen shows. The thing with this one is that I didn't plan to watch it initially, but then I saw all of the hype surrounding it and everybody saying that it's one of the best representations of Gen Z that I'm personally a part of. So I just had to check it out, because after watching Bodies, which in my opinion was a failed representation of Gen Z, Heartbreak High is indeed what Gen Z is. It's not focused as much on parties and drugs and all of those things that older generations like to claim Gen Z is all about, but it's focused on what I feel like my generation really is all about. Acceptance of different races, religions, sexualities, trying to be unique, trying to be ourselves, trying to express ourselves, making mistakes along the way, being hated by your peers, heartbreaks, even trauma, the way you know how to deal with trauma, protests, fighting for justice. This is what Gen Z is all about. I grew very attached to a lot of the characters. Harper not being one of them, by the way. I don't know why so many people love that character, because she's fucking mean. I get that she went through trauma, but you don't have to be a fucking bitch because of that. I definitely see where all of the hype around the show is. I would personally give it 8 out of 10. Some of the episodes were dragging a little bit, but otherwise I would definitely suggest you sit through at least the first 3 or 4 episodes and then decide whether the show is for you, because it starts on a very niche problem, very high school drama problem, but then it grows to be so much bigger than that. There are definitely some trigger warnings that Netflix puts up, one of them being police brutality towards a person of color, which they do even specifically put double warning before the episode starts. So definitely read those warnings, and if this show may be triggering to you in any type of way, do not put yourself through that just for the sake of watching a show that is very popular right now. I definitely suggest the show. I'm glad that it got renewed for season 2, because I'm so excited to see what other drama is going to transpire between these characters, because at this point they're all so chaotic. Lastly, finally, we came to the kdramas section. The first one of those being Gauss Electronics. I started at episode 1 and I got to episode 4 where I stopped. The thing is, this is very much trying to play on the card that bullying is funny. It will never be funny. As a victim of bullying myself, no, it's not funny. I also refuse to watch a story where a person falls in love with their bully, and I don't see exactly why people are saying that this is very lighthearted, oh, it shouldn't be taken seriously. They literally duct taped him together and threw him in a dark room and left him there because they just didn't think he was good enough to be at a very important meeting. And they always put him down. They treat him like complete garbage. And I know later on this gets better, but I just don't think that's funny in any way. I didn't laugh once during the first 3 episodes that I watched. Also, a lot of the editing and the way the characters act comes across very childish to me. And those are the types of K-dramas that just aren't personally for me. They don't click with me. So I will still see whether or not I even want to continue with this one or I'll just drop it. But that's for future me to decide. That's not a now problem. Next up, we have Cheer Up, which actually I watched from episode 6 to episode 11 in November. Episode 12 also dropped, but I was not able to watch it last month, so I'll do that in December. But this show, I have mixed opinions on. I love the mystery of it. I love the main characters, but I fucking hate the love triangle. At the beginning, I was very intrigued by it, and I was very much wondering which guy she's going to pick. But after having a whole episode of all of our characters traveling to Busan to work at a fucking market, and literally nothing happens throughout the entire episode. It's basically a filler episode just focusing on our main female character not knowing what to do with herself because she remembers being drunk and kissing one guy, and she's confused because she doesn't know who she wants for that guy to be once she remembers. It's just a whole mess. And this K-drama has been airing for over 2 months because it constantly gets postponed for different reasons, and it's just, I'm getting very frustrated by it. I'll definitely finish it because there are only 5 or 6 episodes left because it overall has 16 episodes, so I'll definitely finish it. I think I'll make a whole separate review of it once I'm done with it because I have so many things to say. But yeah, it's not as great as I wanted it to be. I hope Guilty, member from S9, gets better roles than this because I don't think this K-drama in particular was worth leaving from S9 for, but that's just my opinion. Next up, we have Netflix's K-drama, one of the newer ones, called Glitch. I watched the first 2 episodes, and although this is sci-fi, more focused on aliens and stuff like that, it doesn't have a plot. I don't like a single character. The acting is very mediocre. The story just isn't there. I watched the first 2 episodes for the plot, and there was no plot. Nothing happened. Everything actually relevant that happened could be put in probably 10 minutes altogether, not 2 hours that I spent on this. So yeah, without a single regret, I dropped this show. I'm not coming back to it. I'm not interested in it at all, and I refuse to force myself to watch a K-drama just because so many other people are hyping it up. It's not for me. If you want to watch it, it's available on Netflix, you can give it a try. But for me personally, it's a total skip. Next up, we have Disney Plus K-drama called Revenge of Others. I started obviously at episode 6 and I got all the way up to episode 7 this month. By this point of me filming this, there are episodes 7 and 8 already out, so I'll definitely be watching it as soon as possible. But this is another K-drama that I have very mixed opinions on. At the beginning, I was absolutely intrigued, so in love with it, that now that we are halfway through, because it only has 12 episodes, it's starting to drag. The love story is not progressing anywhere. The mystery is barely moving, and it just feels like every single episode is filler, and this is definitely not something that you want your entire K-drama to be. So hopefully we start to get some revelations soon. We start getting some answers, because giving me just question upon question upon question is not keeping me intrigued and wanting to watch the show. As I already said on my Twitter, I will drop this show if episodes 7 and 8 are not better. Lastly, we have Summer Strike. I watched the first 2 episodes. By the point of me filming this, episodes 3 and 4 are already out, so I will be watching that as soon as possible again. But I fucking love this K-drama. So far, it's a 10 out of 10. Perfection. I'm in love with it. I don't want to say too much because once again, it only began. Maybe a lot of you haven't tuned in yet, haven't watched the available episodes yet, but it's very lighthearted, fresh, cute, funny. It has the best two lead characters, the male and female lead. Just, it's using one of my favorite tropes ever, which is shy, introverted male lead. I love characters like that. Everything that I started watching in November, I will be continuing in December and hopefully finish. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit rambling and long, but I just want for these videos to be unscripted and just casual. So yeah, if you enjoyed, definitely leave a like, subscribe, because I already promised you so many videos, so I better live up to all those promises. And I'll see you hopefully very, very soon with my review of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.